a variety of meanings, but the Greek word for image is icon. And those words can be used interchangeably. When I use the word icon, the converse is true. It also means image. And it is the Greek word, but however, specifically for our purposes, I'm generally going to be using that. Not always, but for the purpose of describing the writing of images in a painted medium, according to the tradition of the Holy Orthodox Church, and blessed for use in Christian worship. Now, I used the term writing an icon. I don't know about Matthew and Nick back there, but some iconographers get almost incensed if you say paint an icon. Hopefully you're not like that. But it is more correct to say that an icon is written. Because icons always exist to reveal something, to connect us to something, but also to teach. In the same way the written word is done to teach and for revelation. So, let us then consider session 1. We'll move to the first part of the topic, which I don't know whether there was actually an ad in the paper or not, but the first one is art belongs to God, not to the world. Everyone knows instinctively that art is an inescapable manner in which man expresses himself. Everybody knows this. Even fallen man, even an unbeliever, knows that art is an expression of creativity. It's a connection between the one who beholds the art and that which is represented in the art. Art is tangible. It is perceptible in a sensory way by the one who beholds it, and it is produced in a sensory manner by the one who produces it. If I look at art, I'm using a sense of sight. When an artist paints it, he's using touch, sight. It's a very physical, tangible process. This is true whether the art is good or evil, whether it's sensational or indifferent, whether it's commercial or emotional, whether it's skilled or unskilled. This truth is shared, as I said before, by virtually everyone. I don't think anybody would refute it. I think an atheist would probably agree with me, an agnostic, a humanist, a materialist, a hedonist, an existentialist. They would all agree that there's something in man that has to do this. And it creates connections between men and representations of things. In an art history book that I was looking at by Robert Belton, he asked the question, what is art? Now, the answers that I'm going to read through here are secular answers. They're not really religious or answers from a Christian source, but you'll be surprised how familiar they sound. It's the product of conscious intention. It's a self-rewarding activity, a tendency to unite dissimilar things, like heaven and earth in our context, an imposition of order onto disorder, an exhibition of skill, a desire to convey meaning. Illustration. We see a lot of that in the church when we see illustrated the events in the life of Christ, his birth, his presentation in the temple, his baptism, Palm Sunday, the cross, the tomb, the resurrection. The heightening of existence, revelation, personal adornment, the giving of meaning to life, the generation of unself-conscious experience, and so on. And he continues that in most introductory books to art histories, you're going to see these kinds of things to describe its purpose: to adorn, to beautify, to express, to illustrate, to mediate. That's a good word in our context. To persuade, to record, to redefine reality. Certainly in our context, is what we see in the world our only reality, or are we surrounded by a heavenly reality? And can that be made known to us in the church? I'll read a few quotes. Life is short, art endures. That's from Hippocrates. Art completes what nature cannot bring to finish. Art is a happy-faced recollection of a higher state from which we have fallen since the time of Eden. One of the saints wrote that. It is art that makes life, makes interest, makes importance. And I'm just going to read through these quickly. It is through art and through art only that we can realize our perfection. Through art and art only can we shield ourselves from the sordid perils of our actual existence. You know, art elevates. It can elevate. It can bring down when used inappropriately, but it can lift us up. Paradoxically, though it may seem, it is nonetheless true that life imitates art far more than art imitates life. Now, you know, we had an interesting discussion at the camp the other night. Father Anthony and his wife, my wife Deborah, and I hosted a panel where we were talking about teenage relationships. Most of these kids are learning about relationships from the art they see in the world. The media, the music, the television, the movies, the internet. And I would dare say that in most cases, they're imitating art, particularly art, not the other way around. It's the art that's moving them, often in the wrong direction. And again, going back to my earlier point, if you try to remove that art, you better replace it with something. Because kids are going to have their art. They're going to have their posters and their music and their iPod. They're going to have it. So we need to give them something better, something that will elevate their existence. Art washes away from the soul the dust of everyday life. Picasso said that. Not noted as a Christian, but someone who sees something in art. There's something there. I could go on with these. A cynical one, I'll read this last. Art is making something out of nothing and selling it. Frank Zappa said that. He also named his daughter Moon Unit, which didn't give credit. It's kind of pathetic. You know, I'll brag on myself. I named my daughter Mary Evelyn. A saint's name, a family name, Bible name, a good name. See, you should thank me that I didn't think you could. Very hard to imitate them. I suppose one could try. Society and culture are filled with secular icons. We will have our images. There are sports icons. You know, they are persons. They manifest themselves in posters. There's also the emblems of sports that are like icons. And most of you watched the Super Bowl. I think a lot of Western Pennsylvanians were rooting for the Giants. But when the game was over, they pulled out the Lombardi Trophy. Now the Lombardi Trophy is this silver football mounted on like a pyramid. It's very attractive. It is a piece of art. And when they pulled this out, these guys were grabbing onto it. They wanted to touch it. They wanted to sense it. It was elevated. It was kissed. I saw them kiss it. It was produced by an artist to represent football's highest team achievement.